Hi everyone, it is Friday and it's my favorite time of the week and it's my favorite masterclass with the amazing Emma Wilson in our team, who's our digital director. My name is Lee Smith. I'm the founder of Impact Match and co-founder of Action Able. And today I have my hair up, I'm wearing glasses, I've got blondie brown hair and I've got a grey blouse on and my background is the Impact Match logo. Just a bit brief, my history is I would call myself a social inclusion strategist, an advisor. I've done a number of various roles for big cross-sector organisations as well as startups. And I'm delighted to join you here today. Over to you, Em.
Hi, M Wilson. I'm Director of Digital at Impact Match, and I have been loving and learning about LinkedIn for probably the best part of 15 years, and working very closely with C-suites and senior level leaders of FTSE 50 to 500 companies, and looking today to share some of our latest understanding around what the algorithm is doing to help all of our lovely participants. So yes, if you want to have any questions in the chat, and Lee, if I could ask you to manage the chat for me because I can't
Yeah.
see that whilst I'm presenting at the same time. And in terms of visual description, I am a white woman in my mid-30s. I have shoulder-length brown hair. I'm wearing pearl earrings and pearl necklace and a nice hot pink long sleeve top.
Very on brand today, Emma Wilson, loving it. Um, right, we'll go on to the next slide if you don't mind. Okay, so just really quickly about Impact Match. We haven't got long today, but we are a social impact agency. We deliver a whole host of services. Our values are around being purpose-led. We're outcome obsessed. We are legacy focused, so we don't build anything that hasn't got a legacy. And we massively believe in work joy, which is about working with amazing clients and working with amazing team members to be able to create more impact in the world. And what we do in the agency is we deliver the plan, people, partnerships, and training to enable organizations and leaders to do well at the same time as doing amazing good. And our vision is that we really want to live in a world where doing good and doing well are one of the same. We don't really see the difference, and we really believe that organizations, by leveraging all of their amazing assets, can create amazing impact. Our services are quite wide ranging, and we'll give you a copy of these afterwards, but they fall between impact strategy, impact talent, and also impact communications, with training being a core part of that. And the reason why we talk about LinkedIn so much is because we are all about joining up the leadership community within social impact to be able to create more scale. And you can only do that by using amazing platforms such as LinkedIn with its 1 billion users now. So, I mean, I spend most of my time on there, not necessarily on the front end, but on the back end, contacting people, helping people, people reaching out to us, etc. So it's an amazing platform, and yet it is based on an algorithm, which, if you understand it, it will save you a heck of a lot of time and enable you to create even more impact in your role. So thank you very much for joining us. You're part of the Impact Maker community. Now you've joined us, and this is where purpose-driven professionals can grow their impact and upskill and connect. And we run these type of events, but also many face-to-face events as well. So keep an eye out for our newsletter that comes out every month with other opportunities, free opportunities, I should say, to be able to connect to one another. And thank you so much for joining. Over to you, Em.
Okay, so at Impact Match, we always focus on impact. So I thought we'd get the chat started straight away. So what I'd love to understand is what is your current confidence on how LinkedIn works to create more impact about your work? How confident you feel about using LinkedIn to support you? So if you want to give a score between 1 and 4, so 1 being not very confident at all, and 4 being very confident, really know what I'm doing, not entirely sure why I've come to Masterclass, then pop that into the chat for us now, and we'll just give you a minute to do that between that 1 and 4. Are we starting to see some responses come through, Lee?
Hi, I'm managing the poll, the actual
Oh,
poll in
perfect. Thank
in
you very
in
much.
Zoom. So I'll publish those results momentarily.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much, Ellie. I appreciate that. And thank you for all the work that you and Fiona do behind the scenes on these events as well. It's very much appreciated. Okay, so that's really interesting in terms of where most people sit, which is good to see. So we'll just move on. We're going to play a word association game now. So this is where we will use the chat. Apologies. So what I say social media, you say what? So what is the first word that comes into your head when I say the word social media? So we often get things like hashtags and various channels and things like that. But whatever that first word is. And Lee, you're on mute.
We've got noise, we've got reach, we've got communication, we've got visibility, we've got overwhelmed, we've got reputation, we've got community reach, we've got broken, we've got comms, we've got support, we've got amplification, connection, promoting, reach young audience, exhausting from Elaine, which I feel sometimes too. It can feel like that. You've got necessary, connection. Anything else? Mystifying is a new one. Mystifying,
Okay.
toxic tool. So lots of contributions there, Lana.
Okay. So good range of how we're feeling about it. And I think that actually really explains a lot of things about LinkedIn specifically, but more about social media generally. I think a lot of people look at social media as basically like a digital soapbox, and they're standing on it because they see it as a platform. So they stand on it on this digital soapbox and they shout out into the abyss and hope something sticks. And that's really not how social media works. So when we look at the definition of social media, and this is a really important one to understand, is the social aspect of it is really about creating connection between people and information and creating and contributing to meaningful conversations. And the media, the GIFs, the videos, the images, etc., that we use is the way in which we create and contribute to those meaningful conversations. And LinkedIn's algorithm is very much set up with that in mind. So when you're thinking about LinkedIn, the best way to think about it is to see it as a 24/7 networking event that's happening 365 days a year with 1.1 billion people on the platform. And so, with that in mind, and I was saying this to somebody earlier, you'd never turn up to a networking event, I hope, in your pajamas without your hair being brushed, right, Lee?
No, you would not. Well, you might do, but it wouldn't be a very good party.
And it's the same with LinkedIn, right? So effectively, in the same way that you wouldn't do that with a physical event, it's the same with LinkedIn in the fact that your digital profile is effectively how you turn up. That is your first impression. So the making time and effort to spend on your profile, on your personal brand, and establish that professional brand is really important. And actually, what that does is it allows the algorithm to understand more about what you're interested in, who you want to talk to, and you're giving the algorithm a little bit of information so it can decide where to put you in terms of the conversations that are going on. So the other thing that I think we hear a lot of in these in workshops about LinkedIn is people say, well, you've got to add value. You've got to know who your customer is, and you've got to add value to the conversation. So the one thing that I really want you to take away from this is that social media is a tool. And I think if you think about it as a networking tool, as an event that's just a digital event happening online, it's a much better way of understanding the platform. And when you're thinking about adding value from all the work that we've done around our social capital research, etc., is that there are 6 different ways that you can add value to a conversation. So you can provide information, which is I was at an event. For example, I joined an Impact Match webinar. That's information. It gives people something. You've got intelligence, which is I was at that event, and here are 3 key takeaways I took from that event, and this is how I'm going to use them in my work, or tomorrow, etc. So that's intelligence. It's taking the information and putting that through a filter of your lived experience and understanding. Then you have support. So you can support people by tagging them into the conversation in the same way that at a networking event, you might bring someone into the conversation to ask what they're talking about. You can do the same in terms of of support. But you can also amplify their conversation. So if someone's saying something that you really agree with, you can then reshare that information with other people in your network, so to amplify them. Skills is around what you bring to the table. So, what you're happy to share in terms of your skill set. We obviously have currency. So a lot of people do social selling where they sell products and services through LinkedIn. And then we have access. So one of the most generous things that you can do as an individual in life and on LinkedIn, I would say, is play human snap or create impact matches. So bringing two people together and seeing what the conversation is. So that access that you offer to people in terms of information, in terms of access to other people is so, so important. And in terms of when you're posting about things, as I said, it's all about creating and contributing to the conversation. So the more you can do to show other people are talking about this and highlight them and how you fit into the context of what you're talking about, the better your posts will generally do. The other thing to note is that when you're online, comment more than you post. So in the same way that when you're at a networking event, you probably wouldn't come into the room in your pajamas, start shouting about how amazing you are and throwing business cards around. It's this, you'd probably come into that networking event and pop to the coffee machine and or the whoever's giving the coffee, and you'd grab a drink, and then you'd move to a small circle and listen to what they're talking about, and then you'd add value into that conversation and show how it was relevant to who you are, and then you might introduce yourself. And it's kind of the same way online. If you comment on a few posts that are relevant before you then post your content, it will generally do better because LinkedIn rewards you for being interested and then interesting. So again, focus on updating your profile to give the algorithm the best shot at putting you into the right conversations. And then comment more than you post, I think is really important on this one. So we've recently been doing some work on what we call connected leadership. So connected leadership is basically getting leaders to become walking, talking adverts for the companies that they work for. And this is good for the company. It's also good for the individual because effectively it's a form of career insurance for you as an individual because you're using LinkedIn as your digital Rolodex. So you know who you can talk to, you're establishing your professional brand, you're finding the right people, you're creating new opportunities, you're building relationships. That's how you as an individual develop and build your social capital within the world. And then alongside that, because trust in brands is declining, if you share messages from your company, they will invariably do between 20 to 25 times better than anything the brand publishes itself, because it's about that trust in the network. And so, people always prefer to talk to people rather than brands necessarily. So we've been doing some work on this. We've been talking to some of our clients. We work with some incredible leaders and asking them as to why they are on social media effectively. And I think this post, this comment here really sums it up, which is 5 years from now, any company that does not have an executive advocacy social media strategy will be completely behind in the space. The amount of engagement that you can generate with customers, with clients, employees, and even recruits can be so incredibly valuable that every company in the Fortune 500 needs to seriously consider building out an executive social media function if they haven't already. And that was from a senior vice president at a multinational investment bank and financial services company. And this is what we're seeing more of. So interestingly, a couple of years ago, about 48% of the FTSE 100 C-suites had a CEO, had a LinkedIn profile that was reasonably active. Now it's in the 80s in terms of percentile. So just that shift in the last couple of years. And that's certainly how we got interested in this space probably. So I got interested in this space about 15 years ago and started talking about how we could get our leaders to become walking, talking adverts for themselves and for the
Yeah,
companies.
and I think we work with a lot of FTSEs, but we also help smaller businesses, particularly when we do events like Connected Britain, and you can see
Mhm.
there with one of our lovely impact makers, Sam. And you only just have to go to Sam's page. She says that it's been remarkable in terms of the impact that she's been able to have since speaking with them. So just because you don't work for large FTSE doesn't mean that these lessons don't apply to you as well. In fact,
Absolutely.
even more so as a small organisation. So yeah, I think it's a credit to the service really and the platform that it just is so inclusive of everyone. Although we'll come on to that later.
So I think we all often hear people talk about LinkedIn's algorithm as if it's a singular thing, and it's not. It's actually multi-layered AI-driven ranking systems. And so LinkedIn is actually unique amongst its peers in terms of it, in relation to like a Facebook or an Instagram or something like that. So if I use the network event analogy for a second, so before old LinkedIn, let's talk about old LinkedIn. So old LinkedIn is you would turn up to the event, and basically you knew that everybody in the room kind of liked you because they told LinkedIn beforehand. They ticked a box to say, yeah, she's okay. And so when you were walking into that room, whether you were walking in there in your pajamas or not, everybody was going to give you a reasonably warm reception because they ticked to say that they were following you, that they enjoyed your content, etc. What's happened is we now have moved to new LinkedIn. So in the old LinkedIn, there was one room, everybody liked you. And what I mean by that is when you posted something, it would go out to your followers. It would go out to a small proportion of those followers. And then LinkedIn would see how well your content resonated, and if it got lots of engagement, it would show it to more people. And that's kind of how that worked. Now, LinkedIn has changed. So the way I think about LinkedIn is that instead of it being one room with people who have said they kind of like me. What it is it's a whole host of different rooms. There's lots of rooms that you can go into, and basically there are these hosts that are in the rooms, and they're looking at what you're talking about. They've got an understanding of what people are interested in, what they're talking about. And what's on their preference. So, what's on their preference sheet, what's on their profile. So the more information that you can put into your profile to give the hosts an idea of what it is, who you want to talk to, what it is you want to talk about, and why it would be interesting to them, the quicker and easier it is for them to put you into the right room effectively. That's kind of how it works. And the other thing that it does is it looks at the clarity and the consistency of the content that you're producing. So, if you spend a few days talking about strategy, and then a few days talking about philosophy, and then a few days talking about football, and a few days talking about something else, the host is effectively trying to move you into the different rooms, but you're going to struggle to build an audience because you're doing a lot of walking around those different rooms. So, what we suggest to clients is that sometimes it can be better to niche down on maybe one or two topics that go together and build your audience from that, because naturally you're then in one room with the right people at the right time talking about things that are interesting to them. And it really is about getting into that mindset of what other people would be interested in and meeting them where they are as opposed to where you want them to be. I think that's a really, really key point here. The other thing about that is in old LinkedIn, if you turned up in your pajamas, it didn't really matter because everyone kind of liked you and they'd give you a little bit of grace. But now in this room with in this event with lots of different rooms, what's on you're going into rooms where not everybody knows you, because your content is not now going out to just the people that follow you. It's going out to anybody who might be interested in the topic that you're talking about. And so that room isn't quite as warm as it used to be, effectively. You have to work harder to be relevant and interesting in that space. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think so.
I'm
Sorry, I know, of course
conscious.
it does to me. We've got some questions that we'll answer at the end,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's some really good, juicy questions for you. But
Oh,
we'll move on
nice.
as soon as we can and then get on to those.
Yeah, yeah. So, in terms of polls, and thank you, Ellie, I know that you're running this in the background. I just out of interest, have you heard about the LinkedIn Social Selling Index score? Okay, so about 10% of the room have, a few people have heard about it in passing, and 80% haven't. Okay, that's really interesting to understand. So LinkedIn is one of the most transparent in terms of the social media channels in how it tells you how it's judging you. And I don't take too much credence about the score. It changes once every 3 days and it updates based on your content. It ranks you based on your last 90 days worth of activity. But basically, I use it as a bit of a trust score for an individual because what it's doing is it's telling you where you sit within your industry, where you sit within your network, and where you sit across these four different pillars. Now, these four different pillars are quite important because they actually are the foundation of your social capital. So, your emotional bank account that you create with people. And so, if you establish your professional brand in the right way, i.e., don't turn up to a networking event in your pajamas, if you are really strategic and understand who it is that you want to talk to, and you use the search bar effectively to find those people, if you engage with insights, you join the conversations that are already happening on the topics that you're interested in, again, by using the search bar, and you build relationships by responding to people's comments on your posts, by commenting on other people's posts, by sending direct messages, by providing recommendations to other people, LinkedIn effectively gives you a score out of 100. And so that's a really good benchmark. It's an independent benchmark for you to understand how well trusted you are within LinkedIn by your industry and network. And also, we tend to find if you've got a higher score, people are more engaged, they trust you, and therefore you tend to do better in terms of your the reach of your posts as well. So that's why this is just quite an interesting piece here.
I was just testing my voice because a couple of people said it's a bit muffled, so I just want to say hi to everybody to just do a quick test on that. But yeah, I think the selling index score is a great measure, and also you'll be able to measure how well you're doing after this session. We're all about impact, so hopefully you'll be able to put it into play and then review your social selling score in a month's time to see how well you've done.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Bola. That's great feedback. I'm so glad that's better for you in terms of sound. I've taken out my headphones, so over to you, Em.
Okay, so what I wanted to do in today's session was really take you through establishing your personal brand pillar. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a live profile audit. And I have a willing volunteer in the background, so I'll be going onto her profile in just a second, and we'll be talking through all the different elements there. With that in mind, I think, as I said, what the way LinkedIn has changed is it now uses the keywords that you put onto your profile to decide which room you're in. So making sure that that profile is search engine optimized for the people that you want to talk to, the topics that you're interested in talking about, and you've made it very clear what you're on LinkedIn to do and what's in it for other people to talk to you is really, really key. What we're seeing is that the more you talk about impact, the better fundamentally. But there are some key elements that if you do really well, you'll start to see that personal brand, establish your professional brand score improve. And that might then unlock more interesting conversations. Certainly, we find a lot of our clients enjoy their home feed a lot more because it becomes a bit more relevant as they start to train the algorithms on what they want to see. So that's what we're going to do now. So Emma, I hope you're with us in terms of the in terms of going through your profile. And I'm just going to find you.
You okay, Emma?
I am. I'm just pulling up the LinkedIn profile now, and then I'm going to share my screen again. And hopefully you can see this.
Ah, lovely, Emma from EY.
Yes, indeed. So she doesn't mind me using her profile. So that's what we're going to do here. So let's start at the very, very top of the profile. So can you see here, is it moving in terms of my
Emma, could you
cursor?
just zoom in a little bit so that people have got greater accessibility? Would you be able to just so that people can see it more clearly? Thank you.
Is there an easy way of doing that?
Yeah, you want to zoom in on your browser, Em. So the three dots in the top right.
Thank you, Ellie.
No problem.
There you go.
Then you've got your
Yeah.
zoom there.
Thank you.
Perfect. No problem.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so is that better for everyone? Can everyone see this now?
Yes, it's much better.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if we go right to the top here, you can see we have linkedin.com and then Emma's name, and then we have these numbers after her name here. So this is like back in the old days of Twitter where you wanted to capture a handle, so something that was unique to you. And so if you take those numbers out, basically you've established your professional brand because now it's more relevant to you as an individual. So what I would say, when you go onto your own profile, what you'll see in this corner here is, if I just click into my own profile for just a second, you'll see these two sections here which says public profile and URL. So what you do is you click on the pencil, as you do to edit anything on LinkedIn, and you just take out those numbers that are there. And then hopefully you can have your name. If you've got a common name like John Smith, for example, what you might want to do is put another keyword in there that would be relevant. So for example, for Emma,
Just to make it even more accessible, when you're describing it, you just need to describe the box because they can't always see your mouse.
right,
If
okay,
you just
yeah.
describe where it is, that's fine.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it's on the top right hand corner. To the right hand side of your banner, there's two boxes. One says profile language, and underneath
Yeah.
that you'll see public profile and
Thank
URL.
you.
And so you click on that and then take out your numbers. If you have a name that, as I said, quite common, add a keyword in. So for example, if Emma couldn't have her name because someone else had it, she could add in strategy, for example, and that's probably more likely to be available for her. In terms of her profile, Emma's doing really well. She's got a really nice, friendly, professional photo, and she's got a great banner at the back here. So immediately you know she's part of EY, and the things that EY are looking to achieve. So this is prime real estate, basically. So this is effectively your outdoor marketing. This is like your Piccadilly Square advert. So you use this space appropriately and give people really good context as to what they can expect from you in this space here with an image. Then we move on to headline. So Emma's headline here is Strategy and Implementation Manager, Diversity, Equity and Inclusiveness Team, EY UK, and then she's got her qualifications here as well. So with this, basically what she's telling LinkedIn is she's interested in talking about those subjects. So LinkedIn is more likely to put her content into those kind of areas because that what you want to do is get people to talk to people who are interested in the same stuff as you. So well keyworded for that in mind. Then we move on to Emma's about section. Now, in terms of your about section, this is effectively your personal Wikipedia. So what you want to do is use all of the space available in this area. So you've got about 2,600 characters, which is a decent amount of text space. And what you want to do is in the first 3 sentences, summarize who you are, what you do, and how you make a difference. And you want to get in as many of those keywords that we talked about, so strategy and implementation, disability lead, diversity, equity and inclusion, etc., chartered management consultant. There's a lot of great words in these first 3 lines of the profile here. What you then want to do is explain the story of your life. So effectively, what led you to this point? What are the other things that you might have done in your career that you want people to know about? What are the 3 highlights of your career that might be interesting to people? And then you talk about what you do outside of work, because LinkedIn is not just a recruitment tool anymore. People want to understand a bit more about who you are as a person. They will always meet you emotionally and then justify with logic. So having that little bit about yourself and your passions and what you're interested in is really helpful here, because what you're trying to do with your profile is start a conversation. You want people to come onto your profile, look at it and go, oh, that's interesting. Let me send her a direct message. So that's that, so again, Emma's got this bit about family campaigner, and she's got about that she's a reader and a foodie, and etc. So there's lots of things that I can pick up on and start a conversation with her about if I wanted to. But there's also a lot of space where she could develop out her storyline and really think about what she wants people to know about her, from her profile. And what you're trying to do, if you think about LinkedIn strategy, is it's dwell time. So LinkedIn rewards people staying on the profile, staying interested in your content. So the more information they have that to dwell on, the better it is for you, and LinkedIn rewards you for doing that effectively. We then have her top skills. So those are really important here. So again, what you're telling LinkedIn are these are the things that I'm interested in talking about, and this is the stuff I'm really good at. So again, when LinkedIn is moving you into those different rooms, these are the kind of rooms that you're going to get moved into. So likely to be people who are interested in strategy, people who are interested in DEI, people who are interested in project management and business transformation. That's likely going to be the room that Emma's going to be in when she starts talking about things. And then we have Emma's activity. So we have this great article that she wrote, and we can also look at all of her posts. And of course, we can look at all of her comments. And if she had images and videos, we can also look at all of those. So it's really useful to be able to move across. So when you come to activity, you have 4 buttons here. You have post, comment, images, and articles, and you can just flit across to really get a sense of the individual quite quickly. What we don't have, however, is a featured content section. So a featured content section works like a digital pinboard, and generally you want the 2 or 3 most important pieces of content that you want people to see immediately when they come onto your platform. So again, it's you just amplifying those key pieces of content. So if we go to my profile for a second and we scroll down to the featured section, what you'll see is I have an article about whether LinkedIn is sexist or not that's doing rather well. I have a post about a recent event that I went to, which was AbilityNet's TechShare Pro conference, and what I took away from that event. Talking about my speaking at Connected Britain. So immediately you get a sense of, I like talking about LinkedIn algorithms. I like talking about going to events that are around disability inclusion, and I like to share my key takeaways. And I also like to speak about, I'd like to speak at events about digital inclusion as well. So very quickly, you're getting that sense of the things that I'm interested in as an individual. So Emma could do the same here if she wanted to, and she could feature either posts or articles or something that she's written that she really wants people to see. Then we move on to experience. So with experience, again, this is the only part of the of LinkedIn where you don't get penalized for putting in media, so website links or PowerPoints or infographics or pictures, etc. So you really want to make this effectively your personal Wikipedia page. Put as many references in here as possible. The more proof, the better. So what you want to do is make sure you've got a clear headline. You want to connect it to a company page if you can, because that makes it easier for LinkedIn to work out who you might want to talk to. And then you want to add some media into your experience section as well. So you can see here that Emma's popped in a couple of links here that you can click through to, and those are specific landing pages as well. So it's much better to send people to a specific landing page that you want them to see rather than just the home page of your particular website, because it's all about how can you get people to see the information that helps them take positive action for you as quickly as possible. So one of the things we often suggest to put in this section is an introduction deck, basic PowerPoint or video, for example, which explains who you are, how you work, and how you make a difference. Maybe some case study work in there as well. So, and you want to do that for each of the different positions that you have. But in your head, you also want to be thinking about keywords. So you want each section to have different but similar keywords. So strategy in the about section and headline, you might want to talk about business transformation, for example, in the experience section. They're connected. Strategy generally works very well with business transformation, but it puts you into both categories there. But that red thread between the two is quite important. So making sure that clarity, that consistency, that relevancy is really key throughout your profile is very important. Then we move on to education. So again, Emma's done a great job of adding in not just what she did, but also her awards and her activities. So I'm getting more of a sense of her as a person. She likes to sing, she's into sport, she's always been interested in business, for example. And then I've got her licenses and certifications. So again, I'm starting to see how and where she fits in the world of LinkedIn and what rooms she's likely to be part of. And then she's got her volunteering, we've got her skills, we've got her publications, we've got her courses, we've got her languages, we've got the organisation she's involved in, we've got her interests in terms of the voices that she follows, the people she's influenced by. That's very key intelligence. The companies she's interested in, the groups that she's part of, the newsletters she reads, and the schools that she went to. So from that, we can build out quite a great understanding of Emma as a person, and see whether we want to talk to her or not, or whether that's we're very clear about what she wants to do here. And then finally, we've got her causes. So again, we understand what's important to her as an individual above and beyond her job title. Now, I will stop in a minute, Lee, because I'm conscious I've been talking for a while. But I just want to move back to my profile for a second to show you this, which is when you come onto your profile, underneath your banner and your profile picture and then your name, you will then have a section that says open to, another button next to it that says add section, another button next to that which says visit my website. If you click on the add section button, what you will find is LinkedIn has helpfully told you all the different sections that you can fill in on your profile. And it will give you, and it also tells you what's most important as far as it's concerned, so you can train it on the types of things that you want to see more of and the people you want to talk to. So you have core, which is the most important. This is where the algorithm goes to first for information. You go to recommended, which is the next layer down, which again is very useful information for people to understand. And then you have your additional, which are things that really bring the sort of more human elements through to the profile, and that those are very useful from a trust perspective as well. So that is really how to establish your professional brand. And if you can fill in as many of those sections with as much information and as many media links as possible, that will help you in terms of creating and contributing to those great conversations and letting LinkedIn know what you're interested in.
Just conscious of time, Emma, we've got so many questions from this lovely impact maker community. So is there anything else you wanted to cover before we get on to questions?
Happy to take questions if there's lots of them. You know me, I'll always go for the conversation first.
Yes. Okay, so we've got Pauline. So do you think that the situation now, there's media and there's legacy media, does the social bit of the expression still have currency?
Absolutely. So I think again, what we're seeing, if you think of LinkedIn as a networking event and about creating and contributing to those great conversations, that will always do better because that's how you invest and build your social capital. I think where you're looking at media from you can advertise things and shout out into the ether, you're still shouting out into the ether. So it's much better to create that trusted tribe and that social element. I don't think that'll be going away anytime soon.
Lovely. Thank you. Some people have asked for the SSI score, so Ellie's helpfully shared that on the chat. So for those people, do go and have a look at it.
Yeah.
And that's to you as well, Helen. And then we had a question that I was able to answer with regards to impact
Yeah.
and how you use the platform for being able to reach people that you may be able to add to. But sometimes you need to go onto the special paid for software with this. But I actually think for charities, it's such a great tool. So, for example, when I was looking at funders, the results came back with 170,000 funders that are available. You obviously are able to reach more beneficiaries depending on the nature of your charity. You've got great to reach to funders, also volunteers. There's something like 1.7 million people that identify as volunteers on the platform. So you're able to go to those as well. So it's not just for FTSE organisations to create impact, but also obviously our much valued UK-based charities, as well as global-based charities as well, of course. But is there anything else you wanted to add to that for the charity sector,
I think really it's about how you use the search bar effectively. I think that is really key. So if I just share my profile again, and hopefully you can see this here. Say that I wanted to talk to, so say I didn't know Emma, for example, but I wanted to talk to someone in strategy at EY. What I could do is I could go here. I could just pop that into the search bar. So it's basically like Google, but through your trusted tribe. And what LinkedIn will immediately do is show you people and show who you've got connections with. So naturally, as you would at a networking event, you could go and say, "Oh, hi, we have like 14 people in common. How have we never met?" And you could have that conversation. So immediately I get a sense of who to connect with because it is a networking tool first and foremost. And you can see all people results there. Then what it does is it looks at posts that are relevant to the keywords that I've popped into the search bar. So what I could also do is then look at what EY Parthenon are doing because that's naturally come up because it's strategy. I could talk to other people who are interested in the same conversations that I'm interested in. And I can like and comment on those. And the what I can do as well is I can filter those posts by network within the past 24 hours and within the past week. So again, very quickly, I can get to the information I want to get to and start building those relationships, building that social intelligence about who would be the right people to connect with. So what I would say is if you don't take anything else away from this session is comment more than you post and use the search bar as your best friend to get information quickly. You don't have to be held hostage by the home feed. Oh, you're muted.
Apologies, my little doggy in the background. So Bola and Joanne are asking a similar question around the premium subscription and whether it's worth it effectively, and what that does.
Yeah, so what premium does is effectively it allows you to see who's been looking at your profile. So some people really like that. I'm sure there are other elements to premium as well. But that's the main one, I think. Personally, if I'm going to pay for LinkedIn and I'm interested in investing in that way, I would go straight to Sales Navigator because there's not much difference in terms of cost. And to your point, Lee, you then have access to the entire database of everybody on LinkedIn, and very quickly you can filter that information to find the right people to talk to. Then when you found the right people to talk to, don't jump in. Go and look at the keywords, the language that they use, the sources that they're interested in. There's so much intelligence that you can get from that. and then start commenting on their information and updating your profile in the background so it aligns and resonates more, much more. I think that's really key.
Very good.
Got to be timely, it's got to resonate with your audience, and it's got to be relevant to your business or your objectives, whatever those may be.
Thanks, Em. And the lovely Mark Walker from AbilityNet is asking about the SSI score.
Yes.
And with reference to the fact that he's is referencing, because he's a head of marketing or director of marketing at AbilityNet, should he change the function on LinkedIn so it appeals more to his actual role, which is all to do with digital accessibility, digital inclusion, charity, etc., which is the more of the sector type work that he does as opposed to just marketing.
Yeah, so at the moment, so your industry, you always want your industry to be the people that you want to talk to, not necessarily the industry that you're in. And that hits marketing harder than others, probably. So yeah, if he wants to be if he wants to come up in conversations with other marketers and use LinkedIn as a way to peer mentor and learn, then leave it as it is. If he's interested in talking about diversity and inclusion and his industry that he actually works in and communicates for, change your industry to be more relevant to that. Also do that with your profile. So you want to be using the language of the people that you want to be talking to on your profile and through your posts. It's very much focused on them, but what you want to do is tell your story in a way that resonates with them.
Yeah,
it's relevant to what you do. Yeah.
Thank you. And there's a really good question here around multiple logons. And I know your answer to this because we talked about it just the other day. But the question is, should I create multiple logons for different personas?
No, because that's very difficult to manage. B, it's still your trusted tribe fundamentally. And this is again where comments can be quite useful. So what I always say is get your profile into a really good place around what you want to talk about. And when you're posting, post about the same thing. So for you, Lee, for example, we do impact strategy because you are an impact strategist, right? Yeah. But you also care about a lot of other things, but we generally do that through the comments. Because that's that's just you're moving yourself into the rooms that you want to be in. But when people come onto your profile, they know this lady is an impact strategist. That's what she's here to talk about. That's where I can use her expertise in the right way. It's exactly the same. So comment more than you post, have one profile, and go and find those conversations that you want to be part of through the search bar.
Yeah. And the lovely Bowler from Foot Atmosphere has got an excellent question. So she's very happy to react rather than post, but sometimes feels as though she should be posting more. And the broad categories that you shared earlier was really helpful. So she said, thank you. What other general rules would you follow around things like post length, use of images, formality, etc.?
Well, this is what we go through in detail in our larger workshops.
Yes.
But so what I would say is go back to the networking event analogy, right? So you've got all these hosts moving around the room and they're trying to figure out where to put you, what conversation would be best for you. So the first 3 lines of your post should tell the host who you want to talk to, why it's important to them, and what's where to navigate you to. So really think you basically want those first 3 lines to be really, really strong in terms of keywords, value, and audience, really clear. Okay. Alongside that, you want to make sure there's enough of a post for people to click the see more button, because if a like is worth 1 in terms of engagement currency, a see more is worth about 5. I'm just using numbers as an example, but it's a lot, because that's a different form of engagement. It's a more invested form of engagement. So if your posts are really short and tweet-like in the old world, then people can't see more and you're missing out on all that extra value. But at the same time, like when you're at a dinner party and somebody just keeps talking and keeps talking and keeps talking at you and you just lose the will to live, it's very similar. You don't want them to be so long that you lose attention. So it's like somewhere in that happy medium between the two.
Thank you. And just very quickly, because we've only got 8 minutes left now, would you believe? And this is why we offer this service, everybody, but it's just a taster today. Verification, what do you feel about that?
Pardon? Verification?
Yes.
So what LinkedIn is trying to do is stop bots and verification. It's a personal thing. There are different ways to verify. So if you're on the platform all the time, if you're commenting all the time, if you've added an audio description, for example, people know that you're human and not a bot. It's an absolutely personal thing. In terms of verification, I did verify, and then my verification has now disappeared. So there are some hiccups in the verification system, but you are sharing your personal data. You have to put your passport or your driving, I think it's your passport that you have to put in. So absolutely personal. Is there what LinkedIn says is that you may get more reach because people trust you more because they know you're not a bot. But there isn't any data-led evidence that says if you verify, you do get more organic reach. So absolutely personal preference.
Excellent, thank you. And Lynn has been waiting patiently around her role as corporate partnerships manager at a brilliant charity. So she often wants to follow and connect with companies, obviously, be able to work together in partnership to create more impact, and also CSR managers, but also importantly with charity professionals. But she's got a question about, will that confuse the algorithm about which room to put Lynn in?
So again, on your profile, just be very clear about who you want to talk to and what you're on LinkedIn to do, and then give people the information on your profile, whether it's a deck or whatever, like whatever that first conversation would be as an introduction. Try and externalize as much of that information as possible on your profile. In terms of companies, if you're engaging with companies, you're going to go through to a social media team who are not necessarily going to help you. So I would always focus my time and effort on people. So putting into the search bar specific roles at specific companies, and also looking at the people that you know, and then looking at your second degree connections with that person, also very useful in order to get those warm introductions, because 72% of people trust a recommendation from someone they don't know, 92% from someone they do.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And on most Fridays does Ask Me Anything on her LinkedIn page. So do follow lovely and myself if you'd like to ask me anything. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you wouldn't mind just going back to the pack, Wilson, slide 23, because we've got a little taskette for everybody on the call to get people going. And we've only got 5 minutes late. Honestly, I could spend all afternoon on here talking to the impact maker community. It's lovely, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Here you go. So once you've listened to this and you've thought about it, I'd love you to be able to see your posts in action. So building your own visibility around your impact and your purpose. So what you could do, and which would be really helpful for your own communities that haven't been able to be on here today, either because they're working or they're on holiday or whatever that might be, or they're looking after someone close, do write a short post with 1 or 2 learnings that you've learned today and share that. And please tag us into that post as well. Myself, and also the Impact Match page. We would love that. Thank you so much. Just to let you know that we will send you a profile checklist, things that you can do every day as well. So remember what Em was saying about being able to just do things on a regular basis and to comment more than you post yourself. And also we will send you a session recording so that you can practice what we've been talking about, so that you can go and try it out for yourself. It does make an amazing difference, honestly. When I first started working with Em, when she joined the team about 8 months ago now, I was number 5 or 6 on LinkedIn, and now I'm number 1. And that basically means for me that I'm growing the community in the right spaces that I need to be able to create the impact that Impact Match wants and needs us to do, and to be most helpful to the clients we work with. So do use it. And in terms of options to work with us on a more ongoing basis, we run faster classes that we could take out to your teams that are really quick and, just for a couple of hours, but are really engaging, and they're more bespoke, obviously, because they're to do with your organization. We do a lot of one-to-one optimization, particularly for senior leaders who really want to get the message out there. And don't forget that more and more people are trusting leaders over brands. So what you're saying is for your own brand and your own impact is so important. And then thirdly, we do in-depth training, either in ones or groups, and that's much more comprehensive. It can make such a big difference to your work, to the impact you have, and to the life you want to lead. We've put some examples down there about how things are much more shareable in terms of brand messages are reshared 24 more times when distributed by employees. Clients we see achieve a 400% uplift in their engagement. Just one client last week, based on advice, not just from a LinkedIn point of view, but also key messaging, which we also do, saw them have a one post in particular reach 160,000 people. So it really can work. And also, you know, we see all the time people have impressions grow and the right followers following them, because there's no point in having 20,000 followers if they're not going to be able to help you and you help them in the impact that you want to be able to create in your career, in your life. So please do use some of these tricks and tips from the lovely Em Wilson and create as much impact as possible. And just to finish on that, we have also another poll that you filled in. So you've now gone to confident, which is great at 62%. So we are so pleased with that, because that's what we're all about. And we want to measure how much impact we're having. We host these masterclasses for free for you, the community, to be able to benefit and create more impact in the world. And to be able to see you grow in confidence like that is just gives us so much work joy. Can't even begin to tell you. And so thank you for making our Friday possible today. And just to say, we've got so many questions. I think we're going to have to put them onto your LinkedIn, or you're going to have to speak to us afterwards and have some focus one-to-one time with us as the Impact Maker community. We've got 30 different things going on here. So I think that's it from me. Have you got anything else to say,
No, just thank you very much. I would love to see your post, because I think the more people understand how social media actually works, better. If you tag us in, we will like and comment on those as well, which I think is always quite useful. So yeah, I'd love to hear what your key takeaways are, because that's what really motivates me, is that feedback, and what motivates the team and allows us to marinate in all the positivity and all the great things that we're doing. So
thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have an amazing Friday and weekend. Maybe go and get your Christmas tree up, get yourself excited for Christmas. Myself and Emma off to Tokyo next week with the amazing Valuable 500 team, which are a client of ours. And so we will be sharing online our experiences there and sharing some of the thought leadership there and what organisations are up to hopefully inspire everyone on this call to do more and help organisations do well by doing good at the same time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and for Ellie and Fiona in the team as well for making today possible. And let's see you on LinkedIn. Take care.